Well, that's good. Charlie O'Connor here with PHLY Flyers. I am here for a sort of post-game show. It's really just going to be kind of my thoughts on the game. Unfortunately, we were going to have a formal post-game show. Bill Matz, our director of fun and games, he's been a little under the weather, just not feeling his best self most of this week. Made it to the tailgate, and I want to thank everyone watching who did come to the tailgate. We had a great time. It was a real success. Definitely happy to see everybody, to meet a lot of new people. First of many events, but thanks to everyone who came out, everyone who wasn't able to come out, who's not necessarily local or just had other plans today. We'd love to see you at future events, but it was a really good time. Great food, great people. Just generally speaking, a really good morning, but. And that kind of took everything that Bill had left to make it through the tailgate. So he's back home resting, and instead you've got me to break down this 7-4 defeat from the Flyers to the Anaheim Ducks. So, obviously people, aren't going to be happy about a loss, but it was in a lot of ways kind of the perfect rebuild loss in that you had a lot of good things from a lot of key players. Travis Konecny, 2 goals. Sean Couturier gets on the scoreboard with a nice assist. Bobby Brink, 2 assists. Joel Farabee had a goal. Noah Cates gets on the board. Owen Tippett gets on the board with an assist. So a lot of good things happening from a statistical standpoint, and they lost. So if you're rooting for them to get a high draft pick, that won't hurt them on that front. The reason why they lost as a result, just take a listen to the score, 7-4. Gave up 7 goals. If you're going to lose in a season that's a rebuild, why not have it be a game where there's a lot of goals, a lot of offense, a lot of excitement, a lot of action? So going into why they lost, look, when a team gives up 7 goals, you're going to look at the goaltender. And I don't think anyone would argue that Sam Ersson had a good game. Sam Ersson got the start tonight in goal. It's his second start of the season. Carter Hart got the night off. He was the backup. Ersson made 18 saves on 25 shots. That's not going to cut it. Now, what's interesting about Ersson, and I'm going to have an article on this coming in the next few hours on the game, but if you look at Ersson's recent activity, he's only appeared in 3 games throughout October. He appeared in one of the final preseason games. Then he played in Dallas last Saturday, and now he played this Saturday against Anaheim. 3 games in a month, that's going to be tough on a goalie. A goalie might not necessarily be at his sharpest. He definitely was not at his sharpest. But I think in this situation, this is, as John Tortorella said after the game when we asked him about Ersson, this is a bit of a learning experience for Ersson. This is a guy who has spent most of his career functioning as the starter for whatever team he's playing on. Now he's going to have to learn how to be effective even if he's not playing every night. And that might be a process. But I specifically asked John Tortorella if this is a situation where they would consider sending Ersson down for a while to get more playing time, to get himself back into a rhythm. And basically what Tortorella said is, look, Carter Hart's our guy. He's our number 1. So if Ersson's going to be part of this in the here and now, it's going to be as the backup. And they think Ersson is their most talented goalie aside from Hart. They think he deserves to be the backup. But they're going to let him kind of learn how to be a good backup goalie, how to come with his best game despite the fact that he might not have played in a week, might not have played in 2 weeks even if that's the way the schedule plays out. So Tortorella, he was very protective of Ersson after this game. He made it clear that he was not happy with the crowd giving him a little bit, as he called it, the Bronx cheer when Ersson would make a save. Pretty clear that Tortorella has his young Swedish goalies back in this, and it's pretty clear that John Tortorella does not want to give up on Sam Ersson. They obviously still have Felix Sandstrom with the team. They could theoretically send Ersson down and use Sandstrom as the backup, but Tortorella wants Ersson to seize this job, and he's going to give him some time to get a handle on the fact that he's not playing as often. It's a learning experience in Tortorella's mind when it comes to Ersson, learning the ins and outs of being successful without a lot of game time. But we'll see how long it takes. We'll see how long that leash is. Obviously, they're not exactly enjoying seeing a guy go out there and only or allow 7 goals. So for now, Ersson's still the backup. Ersson, to his credit, in the locker room after the game, he basically took full ownership of the loss, said he has to be better. He said that, he really made a mistake on that. The goal that Originally was ruled not a goal, and then they looked at it on video review. He didn't seal off the far post. Ersson said that's on him, and Ersson said all the right things after the game. Look, Ersson's a guy who I'm very high on his talent. He was one of our top 10 prospects going into this season for a reason, one of the top 10 prospects on the Flyers at allphly.com. Definitely check out that story from September. But I believe in Ersson's skill set. I'm kind of with Tortorella in that I want Ersson to figure out this backup situation. I want him to figure out how to make it work for him, and it sounds like they're going to give him time to do it. Going back to the game for a second, though, there really, I think, were two turning points. There was one that was a little more subtle, and then there was one that was very obvious. Now, obviously, the Flyers go down 4-0. You could argue there wasn't a turning point in this game at all, but right after the Flyers go down 4-0, they storm back. They score two straight quick goals. It's 4-2. Suddenly, the Flyers are right back in it. They then get a power play. And John Tortorella actually specifically pointed this out as his view of the turning point of the game when we talked to him after the game. He said that, had they taken advantage of that power play, had they scored again to make it 4-3, suddenly you go into the second intermission, you have serious momentum. Instead, they didn't do much on that power play. It was kind of a waste. And they never really were able to get back that momentum they had after the two goals. So that was Tortorella's turning point. My turning point, it has to be the goal that made it 5-2. The Flyers again get another power play near the start of the third period. Travis Konecny, you know what? The Flyers have been very active trying to get some shorthanded goals. They've been an aggressive team thus far, and I don't have a problem with that. But Travis Konecny tries to bring the puck up ice. He's trying to make something happen, trying to get the puck over to Scott Laughton. Turns it over just inside the blue line. Suddenly, what looks like a dangerous shorthanded rush becomes a 4-on-2. Sam Ersson gives up the goal. It's 5-2. Game's basically over. Now, what's interesting about that, though, is Konecny, to kick it off, because we talked to him after the game as well, Konecny said, I take full ownership. That was a bad play. I feel like this loss is on me. And I kind of, went back after a few questions later and asked him, I was like, look, Bradshaw wants you guys to be aggressive on the penalty kill. He wants you guys to take the puck down the ice. He wants you guys to attack. Was this more a case that you did the right thing, you just executed wrong, or do you think that it was the wrong decision, period, that you should have just tried to clear the puck? And Konecny thought about it. He said, honestly, a little bit of both, because he said, on one hand, yeah, you're right. The coach does want us being aggressive, and we did score 3 shorthanded goals against Dallas just last week, so there's clearly a reward there. However, Konecny was like, if I would have just taken one more stride and gotten that puck past the blue line so that I got the puck out before I try to make that pass, then even if I turn the puck over, it's not the end of the world. They still have to regroup in the neutral zone. We have a chance to pull back and be ready for a potential transition rush. So I thought that was a good answer by Konecny, where it's not that he's mad at himself for being aggressive. He's mad at himself for not knowing his surroundings and not getting past the blue line before he tries to make that play to Laughton, turns the puck over, because if he would have done it that way, then it's that balance of aggression versus intelligence. And Konecny on that play, he just made a mistake. I don't hate where it was coming from. I just hate the outcome. Going back to the game as a whole, I'm just going to do some quick what I liked, what I didn't like, and then we'll call it a day. This isn't going to be a full post game. Just want to talk through sort of my initial thoughts on it. What I liked, really liked the Sean Couturier line. I thought the Sean Couturier line with him, Owen Tippett, Cam Atkinson, that line only got one goal, but they were dominant. If you look at the advanced metrics, the three of them together on the ice, they had 21 shot attempts, and the Anaheim Ducks had 0. They literally outshot them 21-0 when Tippett, Atkinson, and Couturier were on the ice. That's pretty impressive. They were everywhere. They could have had 3 or 4 goals in this game, to be honest with you. Honestly, it was one of the more dominant territorial games I've seen from a line all season, and they truthfully didn't get rewarded as much as they should have, but I really liked how they looked. I thought Tippett was dangerous from the start. Atkinson did get a goal. Couturier got an assist on the power play, setting up Konecny. So, like their 3 games, I liked Sean Walker's game as well. Sean Walker had a really nice pass on the first Konecny goal. I thought he just had another really solid all-around game, and Sean Walker just continues to impress. Is he a star defenseman? No. Is he going to be part of the future? Probably not. But At the very least, he looks like a really stabilizing partner for all the young left-handed shooting defensemen they're going to be giving shots this year. Right now, he's playing with Igor Zamula. Thought that pair was fine today. Maybe at some point he'll play with Adam Ginning. Maybe at some point, he'll play with Emil Andre if and when he comes back up. So I think Sean Walker right now is a good piece for this team. And he's on an expiring contract. So if the Flyers slowly fade out of playoff contention as the year passes, maybe they can get a quality asset for him at the deadline. So definitely liking what I'm seeing out of Sean Walker, solid right-handed shooting defenseman who really looks like he's kind of revitalizing his career in Philadelphia. Now, what I didn't like Ersson. It's not that it was all on him. There were defensive breakdowns, but Sean Couturier and Travis Konecny were very open about that defensively, the team didn't play that well. But there were plays, there were goals where, yeah, it was a quality chance. But you need your goalie to come up with some saves. You need your goalie to come up with a big save, maybe on that 4-on-2. Because, yeah, it's a tough spot. It's 4-on-2, it's a power play. But you know what? That's what you want your goalie. It's where you want your goalie to bail you out. And there were more than a couple chances. There were more than a couple goals that would it have been a tough save? Yeah, but it wasn't an unstoppable shot. And Ersson just didn't come through, and I think he would acknowledge that as well. That was my frustration with Ersson. I thought one guy who I've praised a lot this year for having a really strong start to the year, Travis Konecny, this was just a rough game for him. He actually came out okay by the underlying numbers, but he was the primary culprit on goal number 1, where he was unpressured. He was just a little bit in front of his own blue line, and he just whiffs on a breakout pass, and then they come back down the other way. They score after Ersson gives up what wasn't the greatest rebound in the world, but again, he doesn't have the chance to give up that rebound if Travis Konecny doesn't whiff on that pass. You know what? Konecny's had a strong start. I'm willing to grant him a not-so-great game, but this was a not-so-great game from Travis Konecny. I also didn't love the game from Nick Seeler. He gets beat a little bit on that 2-on-1, that they ultimately score on, where the puck gets bounced off him and into the net. But I just didn't like his game all around. Certainly not saying he has to be pulled out of the lineup, but I thought he'd been making pretty good progress over the last week, and I thought he maybe regressed a little bit today. He had quite a few turnovers, just didn't seem to be in the right place a lot of times. And then didn't love the PK. They give up 2 power play goals. Just not one of their better nights on the whole. And then obviously, you have that one real crushing blow where Konecny turns the puck over on that attempted shorthanded rush and ends up being the goal that pretty much iced it. So there were definitely some good things, like the Couturier line, liked Walker. Honestly, I like the comments from the players after the game, too. I like the fact that Tortorella backed Ersson. I like the fact that Ersson was willing to take, full responsibility for the loss, even if it wasn't totally his fault. Speaks to his level of accountability. And I liked what guys like Travis Konecny and Sean Couturier said after the game as well. So in the end, look, I don't think anybody here is expecting the Philadelphia Flyers to win the Stanley Cup this year. The vast majority of people aren't expecting them to make the playoffs this year. And if you're going to lose, this is honestly not a bad rebuilding loss. Would have loved to have seen Sam Ersson, who I do think can be part of the future. Would have loved to have seen him have a better game. But if he learns from this, if this is a situation where now he knows that whatever he's been doing to try to prepare for games after week-long layoffs, after 2-week-long layoffs, it's just not working. Hey, maybe he learns from this, and maybe he comes up with a better routine, and over the long term, he's a better goalie for it. So, on the whole, obviously not the best game for the Flyers, but I don't think it was the worst thing for them to lose in this fashion. There's certainly worse ways to lose for a rebuilding team. So, not the end of the world. And again, want to thank everybody who came out for the tailgate. Obviously, I had a great time. Hopefully, you all had a great time. And hopefully, it's the first of many PHLY events. Thanks again for everyone listening, and we will be back next week with our schedule. We'll have that out for you Sunday at the earliest, Monday at the absolute latest. Quite a few games next week, so it's going to be a little bit of a different schedule. But we're certainly going to get you your shows and keep an eye out for an article of mine focused on the Sam Ersson question and his attempt to learn how to be a better goalie in a backup role. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening and watching.